Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the dueling AMA of Richelle at RCM Author and Fanny at Fantasy Books. Hey, girl.
Hey.
All right, let's get started with the first question. We've got a lot. I told you to stop sending this out.
Sorry.
All right. First set of questions we have is from Mark Wright at Markology asks, are you a plotter or a pantser? And Richelle, will you start us off with answering that one?
So I'm old and I really didn't understand all this lingo. And so I had to look it up. And I'm probably somewhere in between both. Like I have a general outline, which usually ends up being like a digital sticky note. I usually like to sort of map out like my word count goal and then break it up by chapters. So like my trilogy is the 3-act model. So 3 parts, 9 chapters each, 27 chapters. And my goal was like 120,000 words and I definitely went over. So that's what I'm in the process of doing, is editing down. But yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes the characters have a will of their own and they end up taking the reins and you're like, oh wait, but I had plans for you. But it usually turns out better anyway. So probably a little bit of both.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I'd have to say the same. I think there was a term that was hyper engineered between the two, and it was a pantler or a plotzer. But either way, yeah, I have a very mild outline. Most of it is just like, I have a really fun idea and I start writing it. Then as I get going, I go, oh, I think I know the ending now. And I keep writing and go, oh, now I've got a couple twists to work in. But yeah, it's very much, if I get stricken with inspiration while like driving or something, I'll jot down those notes, and that becomes my outline. Oh, don't forget this, do this, do this, do this. Here's a chronological order. Go.
Yes. Yeah, I think I probably have like snippets of voice recordings of like, oh, good idea for such and such character that I probably should go back and listen to. There might be some tidbits that could be useful.
All right, Richelle, what do we got for our next question?
Let's see. Mark actually has a lot of questions for us. Do we just like all of his or kind of mix it up? What do you think?
I thought about mixing it up, but let's just go right down. Otherwise, we're going to get confused.
All right. Yeah, no problem. Probably. And that's easy for me to do.
I plotted this out for you, Richelle. I plotted it out.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm obviously derailing, so I'm probably more of a pantser. Okay, rigid writing schedule or whenever inspiration strikes. Well, do you want to take this one first then?
Oh, sure, I can. Definitely whenever inspiration strikes. I am not on any sort of schedule except for my 9 to 5 job. That's the only schedule. And then everything else is freelance.
Yeah. Gosh, I think I was really good in the fall. I was up to like 2,000 words a day, which was just, that was my goal. It wasn't necessarily a scheduled time, but more so like, okay, I have to have a minimum of 2,000 words a day. And sometimes I would exceed that. But you know, since joining Twitter, that has gone significantly downhill. I blame all of you guys. You're just all so So probably like last week, I set up my Google Calendar, and I now, of course, because of Twitter, have multiple stories that I'm writing. And so I set up on my Google Calendar, like, okay, Monday I'm working on such and such story. Tuesday I'm working on this one. And I have not at all stuck to that schedule. So yeah, I guess whenever inspiration strikes seems to be what works, you know? Good intent.
All right. So, Mark, why do some books take 10 years and others 1 month? And I feel like this question generated from a couple complaints I had that we were talking about. But please take us away. Why does it take 10 years for one book and a month for another?
Twitter. There's so many distractions, and then you just get in these cool conversations, and then people are like, oh, join my Instagram page too, and then they're like, oh, here's a Discord group to join. And I love it all, but it's also distracting. So I don't know, my book might be done in 10 years. So I blame you, Mark.
Enough with the socializing.
Yes.
For me, I've kind of boiled it down because like back in high school, I just wrote a ton because I had time and I had no responsibilities. I had no stress and I just was free to write. So I got in the habit of like finishing books quickly. And then adulthood kicked in and I went for dry spells of like not writing for years. So I do have books on my shelf that I think 2020, I finally finished a book that took me 10 years to write. And then I started and completed a book in 3 months that I had been percolating on for about 15 years. It was an idea I always had. So my theory now behind it is, depending on what kind of writer you are, some stories you really do have to like let it percolate and steep until you finally get to a position of like, I'm the type of writer that can write this story now. I've got the training, I've got the education, whatever, I've got the experience, like I can finally do the story justice, and your brain goes, let's do it, baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory. Sticking to
I
it.
agree. I think sometimes you just have to have those life experiences that really add to the flavor of that work in progress. Because my trilogy has probably been in my head for probably 15 years or so. And I didn't actually start writing it until 2019, I believe. That summer, I wrote the first 5 chapters, then had my second son. And so a year went by, and then I just cranked out the rest of it, chapters 6 through 27, in 2 months last fall. So just like sometimes it just explodes. Like you had some vague idea of like what it should be and like sort of the heart and soul of it all. But as far as all of it coming together, sometimes it's just, you know, time and experience. Yeah.
Exactly. What's next?
All right, the next one, thoughts on traditional versus indie and self-publishing. Honestly, I respect it all. I know there seems to be some heated debates and I usually stay away from those, but I mean, I have tremendous respect for our indie authors. They are phenomenal authors. I have read some of the best stories from this community. But yes, no, seriously. Then, you know, your traditionally published authors, and not that they're not good also, but there's definitely some underappreciated and underrepresented authors in the writing community that have self-published. And, you know, you read it and you're like, how is this not on shelves everywhere? You know, how are we not making a huge deal about this novel? So, I mean, I've got respect for it all. And for those that are traditionally published, I mean, kudos. That's hard work within itself too, because I've been querying and it's a pain, you know. So, and also on the indie and self-published part, I mean, you know, it's everything. You're everything. You're marketing, you know, everything. So yeah.
Yeah, and I would have to agree to kind of just bunny trail off that. I've done self-publishing and currently now querying. And self-publishing was, you know, I had to learn a lot. You know, I had to learn, even with KDP Amazon, I had to learn to format it all by myself and figure out bugs. There was a ton of Googling, like, whoa, why aren't my drop caps showing up? And then I, you know, have enough talent that I could design the book covers myself. With self-published authors, you know, I would actually encourage you, if you're talented, design it yourself. Otherwise, pay for that book cover, have somebody do it professional, because that really is kind of the make or break of people recognizing it. And if there's any sort of stimula on indie self-publishing, you can correct that with just a nice professional book cover. So that's my plug. Get a nice book cover, because I've seen some that I'm like, I'm not gonna pay for your book. I'm not gonna read it. I'm sorry, I'm a snob. Get a nice book cover. And then as far as, you know, traditional publishing, you've got somebody going out to bat for you. You know, if that's the route you want to do, it's a ton of work querying. It's a lot of rejections that you don't get in self-publishing. Like, you don't have somebody telling you, no, your stuff isn't good enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
You just get it out and people read it and then they go, oh, it's wonderful. But yeah, I would say there's pros and cons to both sides.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So here's a good question. What drew you to your genre? Richelle, take us away.
So mine kind of falls a little bit in urban fantasy, at least in book one. Book two and three is definitely more in sort of the epic fantasy genre or subgenre. I don't know that anything drew me to it other than the fact that these characters kind of started writing themselves and the direction just kind of started going, and that it was probably more urban fantasy than anything else. And then this whole other possibility of multiple worlds within the universe opened up, and I was like, okay, let's go there. Yeah, I don't know.
That's cool. I do remember when I first started writing, because my older brother started it first. He had to write something for school, and it was phenomenal. It was science fiction. He had a crew, and he had adventures, and he never finished it, so it didn't have an ending. But that's fair. He's first-time writer. So I remember bouncing around a lot. I knew I wanted to write because I thought it was like a world opening up, like, oh my gosh, my brother can write a story and create things. I can do that too. So I did science fiction, which I still have a passion for. I love it. I have a hard time reading it or writing it. I'm not very technical. So I bounced from that, and then I got into like Star Wars fan fiction, which is a lot of fun. And then I kind of got into like real life stories. I wrote about our chickens and our cats. I'm like, no, it's not working. And then I started reading a lot more fantasy, and then I started writing fantasy. And I remember the first book that I ever finished was a little tiny girl like Thumbelina, no magic, no wings, no whatever, meets the fairy prince, and they go to his kingdom, and he's the outcast prince, and there's a war. And I got to the ending, I finished, and I just sat back and went, I did it. And I have not left fantasy ever since. That was my code right there.
Yeah, that's good. I guess I'm kind of open to lots of genres because currently, my trilogy is definitely fantasy. I've got a historical fantasy going on, sort of a humorous horror story that I'm writing as well, and another humorous piece that I'm co-writing. So actually 2 humorous pieces that I'm co-writing. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm open to any genre, wherever the story may lead.
That's cool. I think we got one more question from Mark.
Yeah. So, oh, Mark, you had to make us like look words up. In your opinion, is it appropriate to use words catachrestically for comedic effect? Hopefully I said that word correctly. Which the definition is the use of a word in a way that is not correct. For example, the use of mitigate for militate. So.
I don't know how to answer this. Just use the right word, Mark. That's my feelings on the matter. Use the right word.
I guess if that's your character's like shtick and they always do that, then it works, and as long as you don't overuse it, but use it enough for your reader to say, okay, I get it. I don't know that I've done this, but maybe now I have to. I'll experiment and see.
I feel like I need to understand the word more. Yeah. That's my problem. If I don't completely grasp something, I'm like, not gonna touch it. I don't know what that is.
So there's another word that is synonymous with this, and I have to look it up again. But is it like malaprop or something like that? I don't know. I'll look it up again. It's literally the same thing.
I've heard of like mitigate versus litigate. They have different meanings. Sure. And I know in Scrubs they used it because the lawyer who's no good at his job, like he had it down throughout the entire episode until he got to the end. He's like, I'd hate to go into litigation on this one. He's like, or was it mitigate? I don't know.
So yeah, I guess it works there. Yeah.
Experience. All right, so we're moving on to Murphalupagus at My Big City asks, Fanny does Ren fairs in Wisconsin. Richelle, what do you have that is similar in Texas?
Ren fair in Texas.
Really?
They have the same thing.
You go?
I have gone once out here. It's so hot here. Okay. It is so hot. My northern blood can't take it in the summer. They actually do it in the fall. I want to say it's around October to like late November. And we went once, we melted. So like even in the fall, it's like still so hot. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. I've gone to the one out in Bristol, Wisconsin as well. Loads of fun, more fair weather. I don't know. I'm kind of a homebody here just because I'm not used to the heat. So.
If you wear like a corset, and if you've got some little, they make these little things that you put in your cleavage and you can put little ice in there, cools you down. A lot of women wear them at the fairs.
I did not know that.
They're cool, they're bedazzled, and they'll just put like a little ice cube down there, and it's metal, so it's super cold. You should try it.
I will check it out.
I don't have one. I don't got enough to squeeze.
That's funny. I'll have to look at it and check that out. Let's see. Okay, so, oh geez, it's gonna like start storming. Fun times. Lose internet. We'll see what happens. Okay, RT Slavewood at RT Slavewood asks, it's Reginald for everybody that doesn't know, it's Reginald. What state do you think has worse drivers? Why don't you answer?
I don't know, it's Illinois. Y'all suck. Oh, and that one Texas driver. We have a street down my road that it's 2 lanes. It's 45 miles per hour. We're all going 50 miles per hour. He's using the he's not even using the second lane. There's a median, a turn lane that runs all the way down the strip. He's using that turn lane to pass everybody. I'm like, dude, you just passed 4 miles per hour. The speed limit signs that say 45. We're going 50. What do you want from us? What do you want from us? That's, Texas.
Well, so I know I posted a few weeks ago that we joined the Cool Kids Club and got a minivan, which is way better than a Ferrari. And literally we had it for probably a week or 2. And one of these not so good Texas drivers slammed right into the side of it. Yeah, so we hadn't had it for several weeks, got it back. And I don't know if the mechanics are in the same camp, but it's still damaged. The door like makes this weird clicking sound. Yeah, I'd have to say, and I remarked to my husband when we first moved down here that there are incredibly risky drivers down here. They're dangerous. They really are. And not that like, Chicago traffic's any better, but I guess the stakes are higher. There probably are a lot more law enforcement patrolling the streets. I can literally go an entire year before I see a police officer here in the Houston area. And I'm out in the burbs, so, but very different than Illinois, where you kind of almost know where their hiding spots are, and probably the same for Wisconsin. So that probably is the reason why people are risky drivers down here. It's just a theory of mine based on observation, but yeah. So
I mean, to give Illinois some credit, like I feel like most of those drivers know how to play the road game. Like, okay, they're being a little bit risky, but they kind of know how to play the road game. And then there's other people. I don't care where you're from. There's just people that I'm like, you're a dumbass. Stop it.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, we've got a couple questions from Byron Ponchel at Byron_99. He asked a bunch of questions. First off, what made you both decide to have a combined AMA? Richelle, take us away.
Oh, this was Mark's fault, right?
Back to the beginning. Mark at Markology, that's his fault.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Well, wait a second. How did it get started, though?
I don't remember the conversation, but there was a thread. And he had made the suggestion and we were like, okay.
And I remember looking because at the time you needed 500 followers to get to your goal and I needed 500 followers to get to my goal. I thought that's pretty even, Steven. I bet we could do this. And you knocked your goal out of the ballpark. I still need 250 followers, people.
Follow
Friends.
Pam. Stop following me. I will only let you down.
No, you have fun stuff.
It's my corgi and pizza. That's all you're gonna get. Oh, and the writing that everyone ignores. But yeah.
Dog accounts that have like tens of thousands of followers, that could be you. It could be you.
Yeah. I don't know.
Mm.
Penny's enough. She's too much.
What's next on our list?
Let's see. Okay, so still from Byron. If both of you are hungry and don't have money to buy food, and you don't even know how to cook, how are you going to survive? Oh, Fanny, this reminds me of a recent post of yours. This is actually a very perfect question for you to answer. I do recall some burnt pasta recently, right?
I know what answer. Okay. You don't have money to buy food. You don't know how to cook. I'm going to eat grass. You know, there's an abundance of it. I don't care that my body can't digest it. You know what? Our bodies can't digest corn, and yet we eat it. I'm just going to eat the grass. Tastes good. It's great.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
I don't know how to answer this question either. I mean, I guess, how do you get free pizza? I mean, that's the goal at this point.
Do we go to work for a pizza joint and swipe them on the side? Because remember, we don't have money to pay for it. I assume we're not getting paid to work at the pizza joint. We just swipe them.
So yeah, you could like skim an ingredient every time you're there. Kind of like, what is that? Johnny Cash had that story of that car that he eventually
Piece at a time, and it didn't cost me a dime.
Well, that's what I would do. Yeah, definitely get employed through a pizza company, and then just start skimming ingredients one piece at a time. I'll probably be really hungry by then, but you know, best effort.
All right, next is favorite international and local beer, and why? Okay, do you have any internationals that you have experienced?
To be honest, I'm not a huge beer drinker. I definitely praise Spotted Cow out in Wisconsin. That's probably the one that I like the most. Or Blue Moon. Blue Moon's good too. I'm not a huge beer drinker though.
I like lots of beers. We do a lot of brewery tours and stuff like that too. Hold on. I had to look this up because I have been in Germany, so I've experienced international beer. We actually, in Oktoberfest, we sat underneath, it was the Paulaner München brand. And I've always remembered it because it really was the most divine beer. I bought 2 liters, brought them home, gave one to my grandma, and I kept one and drank it. And I've, in the States, if there's like a German restaurant or stuff, I will always try their Paulaner to see how close it is, because I can still remember how it tastes. And I can compare it, and gosh, I forgot where I was, that they actually had a very good comparison. I think it was probably the Hofbrauhaus in Chicago.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But
They recently built that.
favorite local, it probably would be New Glarus. Let's just be fair. It's what we buy the most of.
Product placement. Hold it up. There you go. In all its glory. Yeah, I mean, we mostly drink rum and cokes, so that's drink of choice in this home.
I'm not drinking soda anymore, so I had to figure out what to do.
It's Coke Zero, so that helps.
Oh, there you go. That's good.
Okay. Is it my turn?
Yes, please.
Okay, still Byron. Apart from the weekend, which is the best day to drink?
I love these questions.
I don't know. I mean, I guess those days that you're super stressed out, but I mean, just, you know, having to go to work the next day, I can probably have one. I really can only have one anyway. I'm like getting old. So if I have 2, then it's like, oh Lord, why did I do that to myself?
Well, you know, he does say best day to drink, not have a drink. That's fair though. I mean, we keep a lot of alcohol and that on hand, but I don't even have like a beer a day, and maybe every other day I'll have a glass of wine or something, but best day is probably Monday. I mean, hello, we're all stressed out. We're sick of it. I'm
True.
gonna have a glass of wine, sit back and watch my shows.
Yeah. I think I did have a drink midweek sometime this week, but I don't know when because it's all a blur.
It's all a
Oh, it might have
blur.
been the tropical storm, I think, on Tuesday or something like that. So it must have been Monday night, actually. Yeah, because the tropical storm, they canceled school and it drizzled, basically. Well, at least in this area. I know some places got worse, but yeah.
All right, let's do.
Chaos.
Have you ever tried curry made up of only cheese? I'm gonna let you take this one away. I don't know what this is.
I have not, but I want to now.
Curry.
I do like curry and I do like cheese. I don't know that I've had is this like a curry cheese ball? Like, what is this?
We're gonna have to ask him to explain.
Byron, we're gonna need 1, recipes, and 2, make it and post it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not a curry fan. I'm sorry. There's a lot of Indian food I like. I don't like curry. Don't like the spice. Not for me. Moving on.
All right, Wesley. Okay, Wes Rants asks, if you had the chance to go back in time to any point in your life, retaining the knowledge you currently know, 1, would you go back and restart your life? So he's got 3 points here. So let's do the first one, restarting our lives. What do you think?
Yes. Retaining my current knowledge, I would have started working for Grainger a lot sooner. It would have jump-started my career. I'm sitting a lot better. I would not have had to work 2 jobs for the last 6 years, utterly exhausted, pinching pennies. I would have felt more confident with like going out with men because I wouldn't have felt like, oh my gosh, 1, I have no time, and 2, I have no money, but golly, I want to do things with this hot guy and I don't want him to make him pay for me all the time. I would go back just to start a career at my current place.
That's good. I mean, sure, it'd be nice to not have certain traumatic events not happen. But I think we grow and we can't be the people we are right now. I probably wouldn't restart anything because it wouldn't lead me to where I am right now. I probably wouldn't have my 2 wonderful boys that I have right now and my loving husband. So I know some of you know I shared little tidbits, and so there were some things in my life that were not very rainbows and sunshine. But would I restart that? Probably not, because I just don't know that I would be who I am today if those things didn't happen.
Totally fair. Well, we already know your answer, but what point in your life would you go back? You're not going back, are you?
I mean, I liked what you said as far as like understanding career options and things like that. Okay, so if I could, I guess probably the point where I was, at school. And so my undergrad is in psychology and my master's is in education. And here I am, an aspiring writer. So I probably would at least change that and say, and it was really a confidence issue. It was really just like those English teachers being a little too, liberal with that red pen and just like hacking up my papers and such. And so, things like that, I think kind of tear us down, just the wrong teachers sometimes. And had that not happened and I, chose, to be an English major or a writing major or something, that would have saved a lot of money. I'm still paying off my student loans. So, I mean, yeah, I'd definitely choose a different career path. One that's, in writing, obviously.
Yeah, that's fair. Point in time for me, that's a little sketch because I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have hired me right out of high school. Well, actually, they probably would have. I could have gotten into like customer support and answering phones. So that would have gotten my foot in the door. And then I think about this company and what I love about it is they want to retain talent so you can move around wherever you want without repercussions. Like they probably don't want you bouncing around too much, but you can aspire. So that's what I like. So I would maybe just go back to high school and get this job. Because honestly, it really wouldn't affect too much of my life, except for a lot of friends that I met in different careers. But like my husband now, wouldn't affect that at all because I met him online. Unless I met somebody at the company, then that would derail that thing. But that would be the point. Probably right out of high school, not knowing what I was going to do, not wanting to go back to school. I would probably have started here first.
Yeah. That's funny because I technically met my second husband online through Craigslist, but not in like a creepy way. Yeah. I started to like several years ago, and I was just looking for musicians. And so he's a musician, he plays guitar. And so I know I always think that's funny. I'm like, well, Craigslist, but wait, not creepy. So yeah, it's funny how that works out.
That is funny.
All right. Third point is, what was the best 90s, early 2000s boy band, and why was it De Jour? Okay, first of all, I've never heard of De Jour. No idea.
Yes. What the heck? I didn't even look him up. I was like, no.
I didn't either, because I was like, this is okay, Fanny, boy bands. Any? Yeah, no, me too.
Allowed to listen to music growing up. My dad did it too. So there you have it. There, I outed it. I'm musically inept.
I mean, the only thing that comes to mind for me was, you know, in the 90s, they had that, oh my gosh, Boys to Men. It was kind of sort of a boys band, but not really. I feel like they were a little more suave and not so gimmicky. Like they were actually legit good. But if they were lumped into that category, which I think they kind of technically are, then I would go for them. But if he's talking about NSYNC, Backstreet Boys or whatnot, that's a definite no for me. Yeah. Ooh, it's thundering. I might need a I know it got really dark in this room and I turned on the lamp and it's still really dark. So we'll see what happens here.
If it all cuts out, we'll just reschedule later. We're almost done. We've got like 6 questions left. Okay, so we're moving on to somebody else. We have Scotty R at the real SJ Richa 1. Too many random letters in there. Asks,
come on, Scotty.
which of you would win in a duel, but you are both on the shoulders of a grizzly bear?
Yeah, I don't know how to answer this. I mean, do we have like pool noodles or something where we're like going at it?
I think the grizzly bear would eat us alive and attack each other first or something. I don't know.
We'd be taken out by the bears and that'd be it. Yeah.
But if it was with pool noodles, I would dominate you, take you out.
I'm not competitive at all. So I'd be like, oh, okay, you win.
I don't like it anymore. All right, who do we got next?
Nick, Alex. Okay, Nick, seriously.
Alexandropoulos.
Right, asks. All right, he's got one thing for you and one thing for me. So Fanny, what's your favorite thing about Texas?
Probably the weather. I like the heat. I don't like the snow. And I like the big trucks. I'm a truck girl.
Oh, there are trucks everywhere. It's
yes, I would have a truck.
Well, I mean, I know you like to ride, so you could ride all year long. You know, there's lots of Harleys out here on the street.
No salt on the roads, wouldn't eat up my car. All right, Richelle, what's your favorite thing about Wisconsin?
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I'm from Chicago. I've only been here in Texas, I think this is my 8th year, so 7 years. Chicago. So I really am 100% Chicagoan. It's funny to me that my boys have been, you know, born here. And so I'm like, my boys are Texans. That's really weird. Wisconsin, I love Wisconsin. I spent so much time in Lake Geneva. I absolutely adore that town. Madison, I love Madison. Camped a lot out in Baraboo, Devil's Lake. You know, I mean, I love, love, love Wisconsin. I love the food, cheese, the beer, New Glarus, best around. Just, I mean, the lakes, the land, the people, wonderful people, obviously, Fanny. I love so much about Wisconsin. So, yeah.
Pretty cool state to be in. I don't care if you're liberal or conservative, it's a good state.
It is. It is. I love Wisconsin so much.
Would you swap states to live in for a year or more? He didn't really specify,
Yes.
but at least
More. I love Texas, and there are some amazing people down here. And, you know, coming from Chicago, sometimes we're a little abrasive. I've had to tone myself back over the years where I'm like joking or whatnot. People are like, oh, are you okay, honey? You feeling all right, dear? You know, I'm like, I'm fine. I'm just Chicago. Come on, I can't get it out of me. But really amazing people. But oh my gosh, the heat, I can't get used to it. So yes, I would move to Wisconsin in a heartbeat.
Right back at you. Move to Texas. You know what? Let's trade houses. Somehow we'll make the careers work. Schools here need good teachers. Like teachers are dropping like flies. So yes, let's just swap lives. Hey, this would be great. Don't even have to go house hunting. I've got one right here. It's only one bedroom. I'm sorry for the other boy, but make it work.
Yeah. That sounds like a great deal. Let's do this.
Next on our list.
Okay, number 4 for Nick is why are the Packers and Bears both bad this year? I'm going to be honest. I don't really follow sports probably well enough to answer this in a logistical sense. Just more in a joking sense. The Bears are kind of just like the Cubs before they finally did win after 100-something years. It's just kind of a joke that the Bears are going to lose, the Bears are going to be bad, but it's all about that Chicago pride, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I'm always going to support my Chicago teams, no matter how bad they are.
You know, there's so many, like, people who actually understand sports and understand the fandom and support them. Yeah, I just picked a team because I live here. And I liked green and yellow. So yeah, Packers is great. So I don't actually care.
I know. I don't
We
either.
made it to the playoffs a couple of years ago, maybe last year. And I was excited. I'm like, oh, that'd be really cool if they actually got into the Super Bowl. They didn't.
Yeah.
Just live with it. We're loser states. What can we say? We just live with it.
Yeah.
All right. Here's our last question of the day. How would Richelle and Fanny tag team to fight a minotaur? No firearms allowed, only martial arts and melee style weapons.
So are pool noodles part of a melee style weapon? You know, I think that. I have no idea what that is.
Melee is hand to hand or swords.
I almost want to just jump off the back of these things and just let the Minotaur and the grizzly bears go at it. And then you and I can go have a slice of pizza, thin crust for you, obviously. And I'll have a slice of deep dish and we just like kick back with some New Glarus.
I love this plan. I love this. We'll just
do that.
Yeah, we'll start our own Roman circle and Roman Coliseum. That's what I'm looking for. That'll be great.
That's a great idea.
That'll be fantastic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for today. I'm just going to cut the recording and like, subscribe, and comment.